Thank you for joining us on the program.
Thank you for having me.
As I mentioned there, Daegu is reporting 0 new infections. How did they do that, and what can other countries learn from the success there in South Korea?
Yeah, I think that it's pretty well established now that the South Koreans implemented this very vigorous testing regime and then traced people and followed up with them if they had the virus and then began to trace the people that they had been in contact with. The government really took this seriously. Once the government sort of recognized that this was an issue around sort of early mid-February, once the government sort of swung into action, it moved very, very rapidly. Right. And those people who did have it, there was enough bed space and there was enough ICU space and stuff like that in Korea that those people were able to be absorbed into the health system without the issue of flattening the curve. And that's an issue here, but it wasn't nearly as severe as it is in the US now, for example. And that's really paid off. Right. I mean, now I think there were only like 30 new cases today.
Yeah, that is remarkable. As I mentioned, also early voting began today in South Korea for
Right.
parliamentary elections. What's being done to ensure that people who go out to vote to cast their ballots also that doesn't lead to another surge in coronavirus cases?
Yeah, that's actually sort of one of the big issues, right? And I think, your opening bit there about how sort of this is the first democracy to really wrestle with these questions. I mean, that's really true, right? I mean, how are democracies going to do this? And what you've seen is sort of the standard kind of social distancing stuff, right? People stand sort of like 4 or 5 feet apart in the lines. You've got lots and lots of polling stations, right? So you can spread out the crowd a little bit, right? And you also have now several days, I think maybe like 4 days, I think, to vote instead of the usual one. And all that is designed, again, to sort of spread people around. And then, of course, if you have sort of like really severe medical issues, you can vote by mail and things like that. I mean, the Korean government is actually pretty good about this kind of stuff, about providing all sorts of options and making it fairly easy to vote.
How's the prime minister's popularity these days? Has the success
Hi.
that South Korea has seen with the coronavirus had any effect on that?
Yeah, I mean, the South Korean left, the presidents from the left, the South Korean left-wing bloc is probably going to win these legislative elections next Tuesday or this rolling week. The president himself is not up for re-election. It's a legislative one, but his bloc will almost certainly win. They're polling in the low 40s. The right-wing opposition is sort of somewhere in the 20s, low 30s or something like that. And they have a whole series of sort of minor parties sort of scattered about too. But the Moon Jae-in government should probably take home a pretty substantial victory. And a lot of that is because of this. I mean, South Koreans can watch TV just like the rest of us, and they can see what's happened in the United States and everywhere else where this thing has just really just exploded. And that hasn't happened in South Korea. And they're duly proud of that, and the government will be rewarded for that, I think.
All right, Robert Kelly joining us from Busan in South Korea. Robert Kelly, thank you.